Nancy, you mentioned that quality is a key issue in real world evidence and in order to describe reliability and validity. How are you ascertaining the quality of the data, and how are regulatory agencies like FDA, EMA, and others evaluating that?
Well, there has been a spate of guidance documents all around the world.
Mhm.
Um, the FDA has put out a series of guidance documents about guidance for industry on submitting real world evidence for decision support for drugs and for medical devices. They have put out guidance for expectations about registries, about electronic healthcare record, EHR, EMR, electronic medical records, health insurance claims. They have so there is a lot of guidance documents coming from the U.S. Most of them are new. Most of them are in draft form. But
Mhm.
then you look in Europe, they've had the European Medicines Agency has had a long-standing, equal to the United States in terms of the length of their interest in real-world evidence, lots of guidance documents, lots of clarity, lots of progress, despite seemingly data protection issues that you might think would make it hard to amass large amounts of data that go cross borders. And then we have regulation. Japan's issued regulation on registries, and they have a series of guidance documents coming out, not just about how do you evaluate quality, but who's responsible for which parts of the quality. Their
Mm.
documents talk about the vendor should do this. You take that word vendor, but the data supplier should do this much, and then the user should do this, this, and this. So very, very thoughtful. And then China is not one to be left behind either. Their National Medical Products Agency, the shorthand NMPA, has issued a variety of guidance documents on their expectations. For example, I think they're the first regulatory agency in the world who talks about pragmatic trials specifically
Mhm.
not requiring blinding. That's a
Mhm.
big game changer. But
Mhm.
if I can go on for a minute about China, Patty, they have got some very interesting experiments using, or trials is a better way of saying it, not a randomized trial, but attempts to harness the power of real world data. For example, there's the Hainan Boao pilot zone, which most people outside of China probably haven't heard of. It's a large island with a comprehensive electronic medical record for everybody in the island.
Mm.
And they have set up pilot zones where they allow use of medicines and medical devices approved outside of China for the purpose of being able to study how they work in ethnic Chinese. And they've set up a rapid regulatory review cycle. So, for example, a recent brag point, well deserved, was for an anti-cancer product. This was for metastatic thyroid cancer. It was approved for use in China within 6 months of the first time it was allowed to be used in Boao. So, very fast way of evaluating the generalizability of data created outside of Japan.
Mhm.
Sorry, outside of China. They've
Mhm.
also now expanded this to what they call the Greater Bay Area. And the Bay they're talking about is Hong Kong, Macau, Shenzhen, and Guangdong. And the idea is that products get approved sooner, I would say, in Macau and Hong Kong. They've established a collaboration between hospitals on the mainland China side in Guangdong and Shenzhen to also use these products and to start to amass sizable amounts of information to figure out how well these products work in ethnic Chinese. Very exciting, I think.
That is exciting and absolutely fascinating. What can the US and Europe learn from that, and how could they take that approach and apply it in our countries?
Well, you have to have a solution that fits your country's needs.
Mhm.
Mainland China has a lot of I don't want to talk about the ethnicity of all the Chinese because I know it's complex and I don't want to oversimplify it. But I
Mhm.
think we're seeing massive efforts in Europe, for example, with Darwin, which is a new network that is an absolute game changer. So
Mhm.
this is existing data from many countries, many locales. The data don't have to leave the country. It's a federated network, much like our Sentinel system. But
Mhm.
this one has oversight from and control by the European Medicines Agency. So they have a hand in everything. And they are building this as a prototype for supporting quick and efficient analytics, so data assembly and analytics to evaluate medication safety. And this is, they say, is the first step of something called the European Health Data Space, which is their larger vision for an even broader set of data. And this
Mhm.
will allow them, imagine they can take the data from Spain, from France, from the Netherlands, from many places and put it together, but also then look in the subgroups in each country so they can make much broader conclusions confidently and quickly.
And what stage is Darwin in?
Darwin is up and running.
Mhm.
I followed this since IQVIA is helping organize it and do some of the technical support. But it's recently up and running, and the European Medicines Agency is proud of it. And you'll be hearing Peter Arlett, among others, give webinars about it.
Yeah, I just signed up for that webinar, so I'm looking forward to it.